Hi, today I want to show you how to do a neat trick, some cool tech in Trenchbroom to make smooth logarithmic curves like this one. But let me demonstrate. First, I'll start with this simple Funk Detail brush here. As you can see, I have a grid size of 16. Like a lot of things in Trenchbroom, we're going to make sure we have our grid snapping set to our desired size. I tend to work on grid scale 16, but any grid scale should work for this, as long as we stay on grid for the start here. So I'll go up to Edit, and I'll want to make sure that my last repeatable commands are clear. We'll be using the repeatable command system in Trenchbroom to do this. That's where we can store some commands that we do on a brush, and then press a hotkey, Control R, to repeat that over and over. So I'll start by clicking on my brush to select it, hold Control, click, and drag forward so that it's touching and in the direction that we want our slope or steps to go. Then I'll press T to switch to the scale tool. And from the top face here, I'll go ahead and pull that down so that it's about 75% of that original size. And then hit Escape. Now, the duplicate and the scale are two repeatable commands that we'll be doing over and over. So I'll go ahead and hit Control R, or you can go up to Edit and hit Repeat Last Commands. Control R, and that will make another duplicate also scaled down. But as you can see by the difference between these brushes, that the scale is actually, the difference between them is less because it's scaling the first duplicate by 75% and then the duplicate of the duplicate also by 75%. You can see this more in action if I hit Control R over and over. Just like a logarithmic curve, it'll continue scaling the difference between these points down, but it will never reach zero. This makes for a very smooth transition. Right now they're still just steps, so let's make this into a curve. I'm going to go ahead and hold Control Z to undo all those brushes until our initial one. And then to make the first part of the slope, let's add a clip. So I'll hit C to enter the clipping tool, put one point in the top corner here, and then another point at that 75% to make this nice slope. In case your clipping direction doesn't match this, you can hit Control C during clipping in order to change what direction that goes in. Hit Enter to apply that cut. And now we have this first segment of our slope. This will determine how steep the rest of the slope gets, how quickly that shrinks towards zero. So just like we did before, making sure our last repeatable commands are clear, either up here in Edit or Control-Shift-R. And then selecting the brush, holding Control and clicking and dragging to make this first duplicate, hitting T to enter scale, and then from the top scaling that down to the 75% marker that I have on here. You can do whatever percentage you need, just make sure that this first cut and scale is on grid, otherwise the rest of this won't connect properly. So hit Escape, and now we have our two repeatable commands loaded up, the duplicate and the scale. I'll go ahead and hit Control R over and over, and as you can see, we have our slope. The points at which these connect also scale proportionally along with the rest of the segments. So we'll ensure starting on grid that these will always connect. Now let's go ahead and see that in game to see how smooth this really is. I'll go ahead and save my map and go over to Godot. I'm making a game in Godot called Schmovium. It's a fast and precise first-person platformer across a series of strange dimensions. Happens to work with Trenchbroom due to a plugin I have called Funk Godot to convert these raw Quake map files into a Godot scene. If you're interested, I'll put a link in the description, but any game that works with Trenchbroom as a map editor should work for this. Saving and going back over to the Godot engine, I will build my map and go in game. As you can see, it's really hard to see the seam lines. You can see a couple of them here and there, but for a low poly game like mine, this is perfect scaling. Let me know if this helped you down in the comments and give it a like if it did. Subscribe for more tutorials and game updates, and have a good day.